Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Aam Aadmi Party's success in Delhi elections has triggered a debate all over again on whether it's the regional parties and not the Congress which are the real alternative to the BJP. Now, before we come to the merit or demerit of this question, this is the question we are discussing in this episode of Politically Correct. But let's look at the scenario today. Now, I'll give you some numbers. Today, as it is, in half of the country, the Congress is hardly there. It's not present. Now, if you look at 13 or 14 states where you don't see Congress at all, say Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, together they have 42 Lok Sabha seats. UP, they have 80 Lok Sabha. UP has 80 Lok Sabha seats. Bihar has 40. Tamil Nadu has 39. Odisha has 21. Jharkhand has 14. West Bengal has 42. Now, all these states don't have any presence of the Congress whatsoever. Symbolically, yes, the Congress may ride piggyback on some regional front to get a couple of seats here and 3-4 seats there, but that's about it. Congress on its own cannot form the government in any of the states, cannot win any substantial chunk of Lok Sabha votes in any of these states. And I have not even counted the Northeast. Now, those 7 states put together, they have 25 Lok Sabha seats. And it's only in Assam that the Congress has a fighting chance, if at all. You come to Maharashtra. Maharashtra has 48 Lok Sabha seats. Now, today, the kind of situation the Congress is in Maharashtra, despite the fact that Congress ruled Maharashtra for 15 years along with NCP. But today, the party is totally marginalized, leaderless, rudderless. So, even in Maharashtra, when you talk about Congress, let's discount the Congress factor in Maharashtra politics. And if you put all these states together and look at their Lok Sabha numbers, we are talking about at least 351 Lok Sabha seats in these states put together, where you don't have any significant Congress presence, except probably a little bit in Maharashtra and Assam. What do they tell you? It's the regional parties which will be the determinant whenever the next government is formed, whenever you have a non-BJP front coming up at the center. Congress will not be there. Now, when I say Congress will not be there, I am talking about Congress as a party which had a total domination. Don't forget, it was the only party with pan-India presence until very recently. Today, it's nowhere. So, coming back to regional parties, but then when we try to attempt this question, whether it's the regional parties which will be the alternative, looking at the numbers, yes, but don't forget the fact that without the Congress, you don't really have any regional party forming the government on its own. It's not possible. And when it comes to forming a non-Congress, non-BJP friends, we know the history of it. Way back in 1967, and let me tell you, these regional parties have always been there. If you look at the numbers in 1951 Lok Sabha elections, and even then the Congress had got only about, I think, 364 seats. Then the Lok Sabha had 489 members, and Congress got just 45% votes there. You had, even then, in those heady days post-independence, the Congress could get just about 45% of the vote shares. You had 20 plus parties and independents which got the remaining 125 seats or so. It has been on. So, first time you really see a serious attempt to put up a non-Congress government was in 1967. If you remember, Congress had done badly in 67 Lok Sabha elections. It barely managed to get a majority. If I recall it right, Congress got just about 284 seats. Then you saw attempts in many states to form what was then called a Sanyukt Vidhayak Dal. So, when we are looking at this 1967 experiment, now this Sanyukt Vidhayak Dal, what happened? Like, you had MLAs from different parties, an assortment of parties, say Bharatiya Kranti Dal of Charan Singh, you had Johnson, the precursor of the BJP, you had socialist parties. So, their MLAs would come together in different states, and then they managed to form the government in 8 states, in Bihar, UP, Punjab, Madhya Pradesh, and many places, in North India especially. But it didn't last long, that experiment. The next 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you had all these governments falling. Next, you come to post-emergency, that is 1977 experiment, where again an assortment of parties came together to form the Janata Party. Now they contested the election on Bharatiya Lokdal ticket, but then you had all other parties. You had Congress O of Morarji Desai, who went on to become the Prime Minister. You had Lok Dal of Charan Singh, who succeeded Morarji Desai as Prime Minister later. You had Jan Sangh, of course. You had Swatantra Party, Socialist Party. They had all merged with Janata Party. From 77 to 79, that's all. And during that period, you had two Prime Ministers, Morarji Desai and Charan Singh. Then come all the way to 89, when VP Singh became the Prime Minister. We know the entire history. So what I am trying to drive at here is, now even in 89, when you had a strong anti-Congress current going, the Janata Dal, or the National Front, which was later called, the government was of National Front. VP Singh and these people formed the Janata Dal government, the Janata Dal party, and Janata Dal went on to win 143 seats, but it was not enough to form the government. So what kind of arrangement did you have? You had the BJP and the left supporting it from outside. The government had to go. So very next day in 1990, when if you remember, when L.K. Advani's Rath Yatra was stopped by Lalu Yadav in Bihar, the BJP withdrew support. Government fell. Of course, the Congress tried to prop up Chandrasekhar as the Prime Minister. He was there barely for a few months. That government also fell. Come to 96, United Front government. Again, Janata Dal was taking the lead. But Deve Gowda managed to become the Prime Minister. His party had won only 46 seats across the country. And from Deve Gowda's birthplace, his home state, Karnataka, the Janata Dal had only 16 candidates. He went on to become the Prime Minister, and we know how that government went, and after that how I.K. Gujral became the Prime Minister, and how all those machinations by then Congress President Sitaram Kesari, and how he kept bringing down the government. Why I am going into the history is just to show that all these regional parties, which when they come together, they can't really give a stable government unless you have a big national party supporting them. Say the Congress or the BJP in National Front case, for instance. That thing is not there now. So when we talk about a government without the Congress, I don't really see that possibility. But yes, again, there could be another UF experiment, if at all. Will that work? I don't really see that happening. Anyway, we'll discuss it further when I take questions from our viewers.
Why do you think Congress is stone deaf to its leadership issue? Why does it continue banking on Sonia, Rahul, Priyanka entirely instead of giving greater authority to the likes of Shashi Tharoor, Jyotiraditya Scindia, and Bhupesh Baghel?
Well, I would say it's not the Congress, it's the Nehru Gandhi family. The family is totally determined to bring Rahul Gandhi back as the Congress president. And as it is, earlier Rahul Gandhi was unpopular. He was not a mass leader. He was not taken seriously by the people. Today, he is not taken seriously by his own party people. And yet, Sonia Gandhi is determined to bring her son back at the helm of affairs. Party is not ready. She is not getting the kind of support or the chorus that you would expect. Rahul Law. It's not happening anymore. But then she would not let it go. How it will unfold in future, we don't know. But as it is, the entire battle is about Congress with Rahul Gandhi or without Rahul Gandhi. And nobody is going against Sonia. Post Delhi results, you have seen how Congress leaders are kind of sniping at one another. You had Milind Deora and Ajay Makan fighting. You had Samishra Mukherjee versus VP Chidambaram. You had all leaders sniping at one another right now. Party is in a shambles. But then the party president, Sonia Gandhi, who ironically, who had entered politics in 1998 to save the party, is today presiding over its decimation. That's a sad reality.
When BJP came in power, one of the main issues was anti-corruption and development. In that context, Kejriwal is more successful than Modi. Can we consider Kejriwal as a PM candidate against him?
Saurabh, I may refer to a piece that I wrote on the day of the Delhi Vigils last Tuesday. Why Kejriwal should not be fantasizing about the prime ministership. Delhi Vigils are absolutely different. It was a very localized elections, which I again discussed in the last episode of Politically Correct. It was totally localized. Issues were localized. Just because the BJP decided to make Citizenship Amendment Bill, Article 370 and all that, the central planks, it doesn't mean that the results reflected a vote on those issues. Votes were for the freebies given by Arvind Kejriwal government in terms of 20,000 liters of water per month, in terms of, you don't have to pay anything in Delhi if your electricity consumption is just up to 200 units. Between 200 units and 400 units, you have 50% subsidy. And there was a bit of work, I mean, definitely you have to acknowledge that. In the health sector, you had about 300 Mohalla clinics operating in Delhi all over. You had some improvement in school infrastructure. Maybe the Congress has been, as Congress has pointed, they did not really build new schools, but the existing infrastructure was spruced up. There was better teaching methodology. Teachers were actually sent abroad also. They got back with trainings. Not all the teachers, but I'm just talking about the kind of initiatives our government was trying to take in the education sector just to improve the results. And they had a fair degree of success. More than that, they were able to build that narrative about the development. You may argue about the degree of success, but of course they did have some achievements to talk about. And the BJP was not in a position to basically puncture that narrative. Delhi election is all about that. Don't forget, you have just 7 Lok Sabha seats in Delhi. Now, when we talk about Arvind Kejriwal's prime ministerial dream, again, as I had pointed out in the last episode, in the last 6-7 assembly elections, the Aam Aadmi Party has registered less than 1% vote share. That was less than Nota. So, there is a long way to go. There is nothing, as everyone says, there is nothing impossible in politics. But as it is, it looks like a very, very big ambition.
Hi, so my name is Sakshi, and my question is, at one end, all the major opposition parties are telling that we should fight the right wing hyper nationalism. On the second hand, I see them fighting amongst each other. Like like all the liberal and the left parties are fighting amongst each other. So that is, I feel that that is not going to lead to any good. So why actually is the opposition not uniting, and they're just attacking each other and they're attacking BJP? I mean, if they want to attack, they can attack collectively, right? I mean, why is this happening?
Sakshi, as I discussed just a few minutes ago, all these experiments by, the anti-Congressism as a glue did not really work post-independence. So I've discussed what happened in Sanyukt Vidhayak Dal experiment, what happened in Janata Party experiment, and the National Front, United Front, and so on and so forth. Actually, even before the 2009 elections, you suddenly had this attempt to forge a non-Congress, non-BJP alliance led by the left parties. Didn't really work. So just as anti-Congressism didn't really work, anti-BJPism today is not really such a deeply held faith that would actually work as a glue for all these parties to bury their conflicting ambitions, I would say. Now, how do you expect, say, you're talking about left, liberal parties. Now, in West Bengal, how do you expect the left to share dice with Mamata Banerjee? They won't. And you have so many prime ministerial candidates. You have as many prime ministerial candidates as you have the regional parties. So, who would be the prime ministerial candidate? Naveen Patnaik, Sharad Pawar, Mamata Banerjee, Chandrababu Naidu, KCR? I mean, take your pick. It's just not possible. You don't really have any leader of national stature. So when you have everybody who is kind of equal, probably if Mayawati or Akhilesh Yadav were to get 70 seats in UP in the next election, probably they could stake claim to be a prime ministerial contender, but that's not going to happen. So in all these states, when you have each regional party getting just about 25, 30, 35 seats, who would be your prime minister candidate? And that's why it's highly unlikely that you would really see them coming together unless you have some, say, a party like the Congress deciding to have that experiment, the UF experiment again, United Front experiment. Because again, these parties are not going to accept a Congress Prime Minister, Rahul Gandhi as the Prime Minister as it is. And Congress would be ready to repeat that United Front experiment where they supported regional parties or their groupings from outside and brought them down. But as it is, it's not looking like happening.
Hello, sir. This is Areeb from Lucknow. And my question is that you say political parties of states, the regional parties, pose a greater threat to BJP. But, sir, if this case is so, then how come you explain the concept that the coalition between BSP and SP lost elections to BJP in Uttar Pradesh? And the related question with this question is that the education level of the voters of Delhi and the constitution of urban voters, majority of the voters of Delhi are urban voters. But in Uttar Pradesh, the literacy rate is far less than Delhi, and the majority of the population is from rural background. So don't you think that there is a very stark difference between electorate of Delhi and UP? So when it comes to polarization, the population of Uttar Pradesh is more prone to polarization. So I don't think that it's a phenomena that can be repeated throughout the country, especially in Uttar Pradesh. It cannot be repeated. It may be that in Delhi, it's due to the composition of electorate that BJP lost, but I don't see any chance of losing of BJP in Uttar Pradesh. It might be a speculation, but I think so. It's also a point to be considered. Thank you.
Areeb, I agree with you on both counts, but for different reasons. As for your first question, yes, I definitely agree regional parties can't really come together. I have just discussed the conflict of interest that they have. Now, SP and the BSP, they might have come together for Lok Sabha elections, but that was just for a limited purpose of defeating the BJP. And don't forget, BSP was completely down and out. Akhilesh suffered a debacle in 2017 assembly elections. So both of them needed some fresh leash of life. And that was what both were trying to do. And what their hope was they would when they put their vote banks together and vote shares together of 2014 Lok Sabha elections and 17, they thought they would be winning. But this arithmetic is no replacement for chemistry when it comes to politics. That didn't happen. And as I said, because they came for limited purpose, they couldn't have stayed there for long anyway. I mean, if you remember way back in 1983, you had SP and the BSP had come together, but didn't really work because you have total conflict of interest. If you are fighting for the same space, for the same turf, you can't be allies. And that's true for all regional parties everywhere. And that's why you yourself have answered the question. The regional parties can't really come together to defeat BJP. As for the second question, whether you are more educated or you are from the middle class, your education doesn't really make you more communal or less communal. And same goes for your other argument, like rural or urban. I mean, that doesn't make you less or more communal. And it's not like when we talk about BJP, it's about communalism. I mean, that's the rhetoric the opposition parties have been using, but it's about much more than that. It's Narendra Modi phenomenon. It's about the development agenda or the narrative they are able to create. It's about the nationalism plank they always resort to. So it's not everything. The entire debate cannot be reduced to communalism, and just one party cannot be blamed for that. And every party will have to take a share of that blame if we start actually analyzing every party's basically views on different issues at different points of time. But so when I agree with the second part of your question, all I am saying is it's not about polarization or education or urban-rural divide. Delhi cannot be replicated because circumstances, poll narrative, everything was absolutely different here as I just discussed. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Politically Correct. Please keep sending me your questions. And if you have any ideas that you want to discuss on this forum, please send me those ideas and we'll discuss that. Thank you very much.